Fall means it's time to fertilize your cool season lawn. But which products should you use and how much should you apply? Today we're talking about a fertilizer hack that will make sure you get the right amount of fertilizer applied to your lawn. So the best way to fertilize your lawn is to actually calibrate your spreader to make sure you're putting out the exact right amount of fertilizer on the lawn. If you're not a math person, or if you just don't want to take the time to calibrate, this method today will get around those things and get a pretty good job of getting the right amount of product on the lawn. If you want to calibrate, while I was a professor at the University of Kentucky, I wrote a publication on how to calibrate your spreaders so you can do it exactly right. But again, if you're wanting to get around this and do it just so it's really close, this method today will help you with that. There are a few things you need to do, ideally a few weeks before you plant a fertilizer. One of them is to get a soil test. Soil test will tell you if your lawn is deficient or your soil is deficient in any nutrients, and then how much you should apply to get it to the right amount. If you haven't gotten a soil test done, the best thing to do is not apply any sort of blended fertilizers like a 1313 or a 3204, anything like that, because if you don't know that your soil needs P and K, applying those nutrients can actually pollute. Your plants don't need them. There's plenty of them in the soil. You don't need to apply them. So walk past all the fancy fertilizer aisles in the store and go to the farm fertilizer. That's all you'll need to keep your lawn happy if you're not going to soil test. If you do a soil test, then you may need other things, but if you don't do it, just get nitrogen only. That's the only thing that you have to have on your lawn annually to make sure that it's going to be healthy. The only concern I have with the farm type fertilizers for your nitrogen is that they can burn your lawn. And so make sure that you time your application right before a rain, which is what I'm planning to do tonight. Either that or make sure you run your sprinklers after you apply your nitrogen to make sure that it doesn't burn the grass. Before you buy, you obviously need to know how much material you need to purchase. So let's walk through a few steps and some really simple math to get you moving in the right direction. First, you're going to need to know the size of your lawn. You can go out with a measuring tape and figure it out exactly by using different areas to do the calculation. But thankfully, because of smartphone these days and apps, you can go out and either walk the perimeter of your lawn, or you can use your finger to figure out how big the lawn is to know how much fertilizer you're going to need to buy. With a little bit of trial and error, you should be able to get these measurements pretty close. Then all you have to do is take each one of the measurements from each section of the lawn and put them together, add them up to get the total area for the entire lawn. When you get a fertilizer recommendation for your lawn, it'll be something like a half a pound of actual nitrogen or 1 pound of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So what does this mean, actual nitrogen? The numbers on the fertilizer bag are percentages of what's actually in the bag. So if we think about something like 1313, that is 13% nitrogen, 13% phosphorus, and 13% potassium. 13 plus 13 plus 13 equals 39%. So the rest of what's in the bag is the carrier used to deliver the fertilizer. The farm store nitrogen that I'm using is urea, which is 4600. This is a lot of nitrogen in the bag, so in this case, a little goes a long way. Again, this product is 46% fertilizer, and the other 54% of the bag is the fertilizer carrier. So if I apply 1 pound of product from this bag, only 46% of that pound is actually fertilizer. So we need to account for that. This works with any fertilizer or rate. If my goal is to apply 1 pound of actual nitrogen, I'll take 100%, which is everything that's in the bag, and divide it by 46%, which is my nitrogen amount. 100 divided by 46 equals 2.17, so I will need to apply 2.17 pounds of the product in the bag to deliver 1 pound of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. If I want to apply 1/2 pound of actual nitrogen instead of 1 pound, I would do the same math I just did, and then I would multiply 2.17 by 0.5 to determine how much of this product I would need to apply to put out 0.5 pounds of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, and so on with whatever amount you want to apply. So now I know how large the lawn is and how much fertilizer I'll need per 1,000 square feet, and all I have to do is put these two together to determine how much needs to go out over the entire lawn. So I'm visiting my brother's place, and my brother doesn't exactly have a green thumb. So I'm trying to help him with his lawn a little bit while we're visiting. And a couple of weeks ago, we planted some supersonic tall fescue from Mountain View Seeds, and it's coming up nicely, but this lawn hasn't been fertilized in a couple of years. And so to make sure that these seedlings keep going well and we get the rest of the lawn to start thickening up, we need to get this fertilizer down. Rain is forecasted for tonight, and so we should be able to apply the fertilizer and then have it all rained in within the next couple of hours. Now you're ready to fertilize. If it's a small amount, I might just put it all in the spreader at one time. If it's quite a bit, or if the spreader I'm using is small, I'll put half of the fertilizer in at a time. A couple of key things to think about: you should set the spreader at a low rate. It's okay if it takes 3 or 4 times walking around the yard to run through the fertilizer. This is better than running out of fertilizer before you finish the lawn. You should walk at your normal pace and make sure you close the gate on the fertilizer when you're not in motion, so fertilizer doesn't just pour out on the grass. Watch where the fertilizer throws to, and then on your next pass back, overlap the previous pass. One of the critical things to do when you're fertilizing is to make sure you apply in at least 2 different directions. This means your second pass will be at a 90-degree angle to your first pass. The reason this is so important is that we don't always walk perfectly straight lines, and we can get skips where no fertilizer has been applied to different areas of the lawn. But if we go in multiple directions, any skips should be taken care of on subsequent passes. The last thing that you need to do after you finish fertilizing is make sure you don't leave any fertilizer on hard surfaces, because it will go straight into the storm system and lead to algal blooms in ponds, streams, and even the ocean. Algal blooms pull oxygen out of water and result in dead areas where plants and animals cannot live. Get a broom or a backpack blower and blow the fertilizer back on the lawn. This fertilizer hack isn't quite as good as actually going out and calibrating your spreaders, but it's close. If you can get out over the lawn in multiple directions, you should be getting out the right amount of fertilizer to make sure that your lawn is healthy and growing.